All right, we now turn to the tragic death of an African American male in Minnesota that occurred on Sunday. 20-year-old Daunte Wright was shot by a police officer during a traffic stop. The police say the officer's intent was to tase Wright, but she reached for a handgun instead. The police officer and that police chief have since resigned. In response to this incident, the Minnesota Timberwolves, Twins, and Wild all elected to postpone their home games on Monday night. No doubt a tragic story. Drink. Did you think the T Wolves, Twins, and Wild responded appropriately?
I'm not mad. Yes, I'm gonna say the reason I think so is it was only a one night sabbatical. People, the games got rescheduled for the very next. The NBA game got scheduled for the very next day. I'm not sure what the Twins and the Wilds did, but I know the T Wolves played the very next day, the same game. Um, and it was a one night response. And the reason I think it was appropriate is this. Make sure I say the right thing. You know, it's thin ice here. I think with everything that's happening in our country right now, the stoppage was warranted because it helped bring people that's not in Minnesota. I think it kind of opened up the eyes of, like, let's say the southern region of the United States or the eastern region to what was going on, because it is possible with all this going on. It's a lot of people in the nation that didn't even know why the game wasn't being played. It's so many people came and like, oh, they canceled the Nets and T Wolves. I want to see Durant tonight, but they don't know why they're not seeing Durant tonight. So I think the history of what's going on helps you understand what's going on. They always say the past help you figure out what's going on in the present, and the present help you go what's going on in the future. So I think the stoppage was warranted just to bring light to what had happened. Now, where I do, apply these professional organizations is, okay, you made your point, you gathered your information, you talked to the representatives or whoever for Minnesota, you got the backstory. Okay, that's what happened. All right, it's still intolerable, but let's get back to work. It wasn't like the bubble where it was like night after night, you just didn't know what was going to happen here. You kind of gave up because you just didn't know, like, if you was ever going to see them play basketball again or whatever the case might be. So I don't mind the stoppage. So to that point, I don't mind the stoppage because I think it did enlighten a lot of people that didn't know what was going on, quite frankly, that didn't even know this incident had happened. Now, to the incident itself, the young man, Daunte Wright, got shot. Listen, I don't care, black, white. The color don't really. I don't give a damn about the color. I don't think anyone should get shot by mistake. I said mistake. I don't think this young lady. Not to say it like I know her personally. I don't. But this one felt different. This shooting felt a little different than the average, cop killings that we've been having in the recent months. This didn't feel as malicious as George Floyd or some of those other incidents. It, unfortunate as it is, it does seem like a mistake. You gotta understand. I think we underappreciate how fast stuff is moving for police when they're working. How fast stuff is moving for that perpetrator, that victim, or suspect. That's the word I was looking for. How fast it's moving for the alleged suspect. This stuff is moving. If we can understand how fast a play can happen in football, we should be able to understand how fast something is moving out there in the real world when the police got a split decision. Am I in danger? Am I not in danger? How do I safely, escalate this situation? It's a lot going on. It's possible that officer really thought she had her taser. Instead of checking it, muscle memory, like, yo, let's get him. She shot him. You see the body cam video from that. It just don't sound like to me that she was trying to like hide anything or get away with anything or cover up anything. She made an honest mistake. She knew she messed up. She told the other officers, I shot him. Like, I didn't mean to shoot him, but I shot him.
Yeah, or whatever she said, right?
And then the guy tried to drive off. be once again. He got a split second too. He just got shot for no reason. So he trying to get out of there. He wondering what the world is going on. I think we got to understand. Not all cop shootings are malicious. Mistakes happen. You cannot find a job I'm gonna say in America, but I'm probably in the world where a mistake doesn't happen. Like mistakes happen. It's top doctors in the world that messed up surgery. Top lawyers in the world that messed up a court case. It happens. It's no person that's doing that job that has not messed up on the job somewhat. Now, I get you if you want to say, well, if that lawyer messed up, it don't automatic, compute the death. Or if that doctor, it might
they tell you.
That might be death. But my point is, like, mistakes happen, and I think the police officer, the young lady, I think she made a mistake. She got fired for the mistake. She's gonna get brought up on charges for the mistake. She's gonna get in trouble, but we can't treat every case like George Floyd's case. We can't treat every case like Breonna Taylor. We can't. Though it's certain levels. It's levels to this, man. It's levels. And I think what happened in Minnesota is a tragedy. I never want to see a fellow African American get shot, hurt. Now, I don't want to see nobody get hurt, but I just don't want my words misconstrued to I don't think this situation was serious or I'm undermining it, because that's not what I'm doing. But I'm smart enough to realize not all cops are trying to gun down unarmed black people. That's just not what happened in that particular situation. I don't think that's what happened. She made a mistake. And like I said, I think all the professional teams, they took the night to observe what happened. I'm not mad at that. Take this night, bring the attention to what happened. You make your own conclusions of what happened. And then we're going to get back to business tomorrow. And that's what they did. They got back to business. No harm, no foul. So I'm not mad at that. It's unfortunate. But you made a good point. Like, where are the numbers, or where's the data to support that, police are still out here just shooting up unarmed black men? Or is it, every time something happens, we're just going to keep reinventing the wheel and keep reinventing? Like, at some point, right, it got to be a point to where we're like, listen, I understand that we're angry. I understand that we've been treated unfairly for centuries and centuries. I got all that. But at some point, we got to be like, we got to be reasonable. We got to be rational. Just like, we want the police to be rational, but we can be irrational with them. We got to understand, like, I live on a principle, and I tell my daughter this all the time, and I tell her if she don't learn anything else from Pops, she can learn this from Pops. And I tell her this: I treat everybody with the same respect I want them to treat me. And I can tell you right now, I have been places where, my own people have treated me worse than white people, and I've been places where white people treat me worse than my own. However you look at it, I always try to treat everybody the same. I'm not going to treat a white person different just because they're white. Now, if I talk to this white person and they start giving me these vibes, then we're going to reassess the situation. But if, this person gives me respect, I'm giving them respect. I don't care about the color. I just care about, like, the respect, the common courtesy, whatever, however you want to call it. But not to go down the rabbit hole of race, because I think we go down this rabbit hole a lot. The point of this is, the sports world in Minnesota stopped on Monday night for a reason. That night, they stopped to observe the shooting of the young man, Daunte Wright, that was shot by the police. She made a mistake. She's going to get her day in court. This ain't going to be no just swept on the rug. She's going to get her day in court. She's already been fired by the department. The department's already doing what they're doing. Mistakes happen. Unfortunately as it is, I just want to close it out by saying I do not think this shooting was on the same level as some of the other incidents that we had happen in the past. And we have to realize that and not be so angry and so quick to tear up everything because something happened. First of all, I don't think this young man even died. Not saying it's less serious because he didn't die, but he didn't die. I think it was an honest mistake. Did he die?
I'm
Yeah, I'm sorry. Damn.
pretty sure he died. Let me check that just to make sure.
I'm pretty sure he did too. I'm over here trying to hold back a tear or something. I don't know, but either way, it's a very sad situation, and that police, she's gonna get a manslaughter charge. But it's unfortunate. But people, hear me and hear me loud. Mistake was made, but I don't think it was made on purpose. And now a price will get paid. Unfortunately, every job make mistakes, and this is what happened when this job made mistakes, I guess.
Yeah. As always, thoughtful, articulate position on this. I think we need more of this. We need more level-headed discussion as opposed to just wild outrage, just anger to the exponential degree, however you want to take it up. I have understanding for why these these three sports franchises said, hey, let's postpone the game. And some of it has to be, and I just did think of this, some of it has to be because of their view of things on the ground from Minnesota, knowing the climate. I also have to remember this is where George Floyd died. So there has to be some level of sensitivity around that. Also, you still have the trial going on. So they know better than me and both of us to what is best for them, what's best for their business, their players, and their communities. I do take, a little bit of a different position. I would like to see the games played as scheduled because this, as you say, this was not George Floyd. This was not Jacob Blake or whatever name you want to throw out there. And I feel like there have been some very dangerous and misleading narratives that have been in place since George Floyd, in regards to the police, in regards to the race relations in this country. And after George Floyd, it seemed like everything that occurred, every black man that gets shot by the police, is the same thing, the same exact thing. Cops are racist. They're out to kill black people. And the more and more you look at some of these cases and you actually look at the facts and the events leading up to what happened, if you look at them logically and don't just 100% rely on emotion, you'll see that these things are often more complicated. And this one, but absolutely nowhere close to George Floyd. It's most certainly a tragedy. Every loss of life is, but this was the way I understand it was absolutely an accident. And I mean, obviously the officer deserves to be held accountable. She did resign. I just read that she was charged, I believe today, with second-degree manslaughter, which sounds about right. You can't just, intent does matter when you're talking about the law and you're talking about murder charges. So seems like the appropriate response. The system's acting as it should. And I just feel like in the event of an accidental shooting, I think we should continue. I don't know if it's the right thing for society to come to a screeching halt when something like this happens. Now, maybe, as I said, maybe the perspective on the ground there, maybe they just feel that people are in such a complete outrage that they just had to pause things due to, whatever is happening on the streets, whether it's protests, whether it's things that maybe are not exactly protests, dare I say some looting, activities such as that. Maybe I don't know, maybe the ball field is like, oh God, they coming for the ball field. They're gonna break in and rob the concessions. I don't know. But it's definitely not on the same level and of a George Floyd or some of these other shootings that have occurred. For that reason, I would continue on, and I would also offer this up to you because I am a absolute believer in equality, and I told you before the show just to see if you knew about it. There was a police officer in New Mexico that was shot during a traffic stop in February. The video was released very recently, and that the dash cam footage shows the shooter getting out of the driver's side, the cops on the right side of the truck, I believe, and the guy
Do you
like
know
what
do you know the cop's name?
I don't,
Okay.
but I know it happened in New Mexico, but the dash cam footage shows that cop get gunned down with an assault style rifle, and I just bring that up to say if that shooting had taken place in Minneapolis as opposed or in Minnesota, Minneapolis as opposed to New Mexico, would these sports franchises stop the games for that police officer? I don't think they would. And I'm not saying they should, because if we take the time to pause society for every tragic and unjust killing that takes place, we're not gonna accomplish anything. We're not gonna move forward. So it's one of those situations to where I believe, and you hear the phrase from time to time, walk and chew gum at the same time. Um, I do believe we can acknowledge what happened as a tragedy, but we can also continue to live, learn from what happened, and get better as a country. I think that's possible. Not saying they're wrong, because I do believe in the end there's something to be said. Have some perspective, empathize with those franchises and what they see happening on the ground there. I think that does play a part, because we know there's a lot of anger around all of these situations, whether from George Floyd all the way up to Sunday when this young man died. So nobody's discounting that by any stretch. But I think in the end, I would have liked to see a little bit of a different approach applied.